Hi, I'm Gina Reineke, your nutrition and lifestyle coach and Holy Yoga instructor, and I'm going to take you through an energizing standing practice today. So we're going to start in mountain pose with our feet hip width apart, directly beneath where your hips would enter into the hip sockets. Toes lifted and spread, feeling the energetic pull up through the arches of the feet. Do not lock the knees and hyperextend them, but have them straight, kneecaps lifted, but a micro bend in the knees. And then once you feel the engagement of all four corners of the feet, go ahead and rest the pads of your toes on the floor and see if you can keep that sense of the four corners plus all 10 toes touching the floor. Place your hands on your hips, press your bottom back, lifting long and scooping the lower belly up. Gently tuck the tailbone into that space and bring your body upright, so you're just standing straight. Placing your arms and hands, reaching your fingertips toward the floor, spreading them like starfish, and then gently retracting the head. So you're feeling your ears going back over your shoulders. And I like to imagine that I have my upper palate is pushing up and back. That's a really helpful prompt for me. So as you stand here, what appears to be a very simple pose can be very demanding and stretching. You may feel a pretty intense stretch down through your biceps, out through your fingertips. If you gently drag your feet toward each other and engage all the way up through the center of your body, out through the crown of your head. And then create expansion, softening as you inhale, and contraction and a knitting of your muscles to your bones as you exhale. Continue lengthening and establishing your breath. And as you do that, I just want to invite you to come before the Lord as simply and as honestly as you can. In the Gospels, when Jesus is teaching his disciples how to pray, he warns them against theatrics. He warns them against being people who are drawing attention to themselves and doing all of these things for the kudos that they're going to get from the people around them. And instead, he invites us to come to him as simply and as honestly as we can. So in your breath, come as simply and as honestly as you can. Expand the interior and listen to the soft whispering sound of the breath coming in and out. On your next inhale, reaching the arms up to the sky and drawing them down to heart center as you exhale. Remembering to knit your muscles into the bones as you exhale and soften and expand as you inhale. Drawing down as you exhale. And one more, inhaling all the way up and exhaling down into the center. If you're not already at the front of your mat, stand at the front of your mat in mountain pose as we were. Inhaling all the way up to the sky. This next time we're going to swan dive down to the floor, trying to keep the weight in the forefoot and the heel as you fold forward. Bend your knees enough that you can drape your belly along your thighs. But reestablish that same feeling of the four corners of the feet and then the pads of the toes gently resting on the floor. Lifting and lengthening the seat up to the sky.
Releasing the jaw, the ears, the cheeks, even the eyeballs, as you lengthen and drape toward the floor. On your next inhale, rising halfway up, either to your fingertips or bringing your hands onto the shins and holding for a full breath here. One more inhale, and on the next exhale, release to the floor. Inhaling all the way up to the sky. Bringing the hands down to the sides as you exhale. Inhaling up again. Exhaling all the way down to the floor. Inhaling halfway up for length. Exhale, placing the fingertips by the feet and stepping back with your right foot. Stay up high on your toes, pressing long through the heel. Engage the kneecap of the right leg. Imagine you're drawing it up your thigh bone into your hip crease. Draw back with this left hip. Lengthen out through the crown of the head by pushing up through the upper palate. Finding softness as you exhale, and on the next inhale, transfer the weight into the front foot. Inhale, halfway up as you step forward. Exhale back down and step the left foot back. Pressing hard into the back toes, feeling that muscular energy as you press into those toes, drawing the kneecap up and along the thigh. Scooping the lower belly up, drawing the shoulder blades along the back. Pressing through the upper palate, out the crown of the head. One more exhale. Transfer the weight into the front foot. As you inhale, step forward and lengthen halfway for length. Holding for a full breath and exhaling here. Inhale your right leg back again. Establishing that long lunge, placing your right hand on the floor next to your left foot, directly underneath your shoulder. As you inhale, tuck your left thumb into the left hip crease and press that left hip back as you're pushing hard with your right foot in the back. And on your next inhale, peel your chest open to the left side. Draw the shoulder blades behind the heart. Scoop the lower belly, lift that lower belly off the thigh. Draw the lower ribs in so they're supporting the kidneys in the back. Press your head back slightly and turn your chin ever so carefully up toward the ceiling. On your next exhale, taking your hands down to the mat, pressing back into down dog. First one of the day, making sure your wrist creases are pointing parallel to the front edge of the mat. Stay up on your tippy toes. Pressing into all four corners of the hand, emphasizing the thumb pad and the pad of the forefinger knuckle. So you're keeping your weight on the larger bone of the forearms and stacking into the support that's available there on the inner hand. Draw your right knee forward, scoop it in, place it by your right foot. Pressing hard into your back toes, lifting as high as you can through the back heel. Scooping your belly up and off your thigh as much as you can. shoulder blades supporting the back side of the heart, rib cage supporting the kidneys in the back. Pressing long through the crown of the head by way of the upper palate. Place the left hand on the mat here. Take your right thumb and tuck it into the crease of your right hip. Keep dragging the kneecap of the left leg up the thigh. Turn the elbow and the shoulder blades, supporting the back side of the heart. Peel the chest open to the ceiling. And if it's available to you, draw your chin and start turning your head up toward the ceiling. If that puts a lot of pressure on your neck, you can continue to look down at the floor or just across the room or turning toward the sky. On your next exhale, bring your hands down to the floor, pressing back into down dog. Take a look at the hands. Make sure the fingers are spread like starfish and that you have a really strong connection, particularly through the knuckle of the forefinger and the thumb. And then once you have that established, getting all four corners of the hands connected to the floor, draw the arms toward each other slightly. So you feel a muscular energy coming all the way up from the floor. Allow your knees to soften so you can really focus on your arms and shoulders. Drawing your arms gently toward each other, pressing back and long through the shoulders, allowing the chest to sink between the shoulders, but then knitting the rib cage up and scooping the lower belly, turning the tailbone up to the sky so the lumbar curve is reestablished, and then keeping that curve in the lower back, gently softening the heels down toward the floor as far as they'll go. No pressure, no expectation, just letting them be where they're at. One more full breath here. Raising the right leg up, keeping the toes pressed down toward the floor, pointed down toward the floor. As you exhale, draw the knee into the chest. Place it inside the front hand. You may need to manhandle yourself here to get your foot up close there. Step your back foot in about one step worth. Take a look down and check that your feet are on train tracks, pressing your hips back, establishing a really strong and long back leg, pressing into that back foot to create the leverage to lengthen and press into your tailbone and create length through the crown of the head. On your next inhale, standing all the way up, maintaining that length. Bring the arms up to cactus arms. And then just experiment with your breath. So as we started out, you're expanding and softening as you inhale. And you're drawing the muscles to the bones and lengthening as you exhale. At the end of this exhale, turn your palms up like you're holding big trays and draw your elbows in toward your waist, lengthening through the crown of the head, pressing the ears back. Drawing back in the right hip, scooping the lower belly up, and then see if you can arc back. Create a long line from the back heel all the way up through the crown of the head, through the upper palate.
On your next exhale, turn your hands down, grasp them behind you, press the heels of the hands together, have your thumbs resting on your tailbone. And with that anchor of your hands there, draw your shoulder blades behind you, press the heels of the hands together, and then draw the elbows apart. So there's a push and pull going on here. If you want to extend this a little bit more, then start to draw the hands away from the tailbone. Continue pressing the heel of the hand together and drawing the elbows to the sides of the room. Keep the arms bent slightly. Keep pressing forward with the left hip, the hip of the straight leg. Open it up. On your next exhale, release the hands. Maintaining that arc you've got going, reach the hands up toward the sky and see if you can do a little back bend here. On your next inhale, inhale back up high onto the back toe, stepping into the front foot, and then turning your back leg and finding your way into warrior two. So check in with your foot position. The heels should be intersecting with the arch of the back foot. Back leg is strong. Knee cap is engaged and lifting. This leg is externally rotating so that it's real easy for it to kind of flop inwards. So draw it out, externally rotate, and then bend into that front knee. We're going to start by interlacing the fingers behind the head and grasping the back of the skull. So you've got your hands, your head pressing back into your hands. And now watch what happens in my armpits. I'm drawing the heads of my arm bones back, lifting up in the lower belly, engaging my lower ribs, drawing my elbows toward each other. You'll feel a lot of action in the back, and now from there, keeping the heads of the arm bones where they are, reaching long and looking along the middle fingers of the right hand. From here, reaching the palm down on the back leg, soften that back arm and then peel it down and back. Turn your palm toward the ceiling, reaching up to the sky and breathing into this position. On your next inhale, coming back up, exhaling either your elbow to your front thigh or your hand all the way to the floor. Starting out with your hand on your hip. Open up the body to the side of the room, reaching the top hand to the ceiling. Breathe in here and exhale, creating space and then hugging the muscles to the bones. On the next inhale, bring your bicep alongside your ear, reaching to the front of the room and seeing if you can move that bicep behind your ear and turn more toward the ceiling. On your next inhale, pressing into your feet, engaging your belly, your pelvic floor, coming back up to warrior two, pressing into the front foot. You may want to shorten your stance here a little bit and grab a block. So we're going to go into triangle pose. So I would recommend if you have a block to grab it. Arms out wide, just as you were in warrior two. Really suctioning those shoulders, those arms into the armpits. Imagine you're sliding along a countertop, pressing back through this back hip pressing hard through both feet. Once you feel that you have as much extension as is available to you, go ahead and place your hand outside your foot, directly beneath your shoulder. Take your left hand onto your left hip and open up as if there's a wall behind you, and you can actually practice this on the wall. Pressing the skull back, shoulder blades back. And watch that you're not shrugging your shoulders, but you're continuing to support the backside of your heart with your scapula. When you're ready, reaching the arm up to the sky, holding that pose. Keep lifting the kneecaps up toward the hip creases. And on the next exhale, reaching the bicep alongside the ear. Try to get it behind your ear. And either keep your gaze to the floor, to the side of the room, or up toward the ceiling. On your next exhale, soften the front knee, cartwheel toward the floor. Put the block on the left side because that's where you're going to be needing it. Press back to down dog. And just feel the difference between both feet. Lift those sits bones up toward the sky. Engage through the ribs, the lower belly, across the back body. Lift the left leg. As you exhale, draw it through, coming into plank with your knee up to your chest, and then find your way, whether you have to manhandle yourself or you can do it super gracefully, to bring the left foot inside the left hand. From here, stepping the right foot in about one step, pressing hard into that back heel and bending the front knee. Draw your right hip down toward the floor and scoop your left belly up and off the thigh. Lengthen from the tailbone through the crown of the head by way of the upper palate toward the front of the room. Next inhale, pressing into your feet and bringing your hands into cactus arms. Keep wrapping the rib cage. So you want to feel like you're drawing this rib cage around and behind you and the right rib cage forward. Lifting and lengthening up and out of the right hip. Next breath in, we're going to turn our palms toward the ceiling and draw the elbows toward the waist. And then reach the fingertips toward the side of the room. Continue to lift up and out through the upper palate, knitting the lower ribs in. And on your next exhale, taking the hands to the tailbone, thumbs resting on the tailbone. Press the heels of the hands together. And then reach the elbows towards the side of the room. So you've got a push and a pull going on here. Breathe in to that position. Press the ears back. Continue to lift up and back through the upper palate. Remember, come as simply and as honestly as you can. Check in with your feet. Make sure all four corners of both feet are engaged. And then pressing the hands away from the tailbone if that's available to you, keeping the arms bent. Keep lengthening there. On your next inhale, release the hands. Bring the arms up high to the ceiling, reaching the fingertips up to the ceiling. Bending a little deeper into the front knee. Keep drawing that left rib cage back and that right hip forward. On your next inhale, lifting up onto your back toe, getting the weight onto the front foot, and finding your way into Warrior Two. Heel should be intersecting with the arch. Back leg should be fully engaged, lifting up through the kneecap, bending into the front leg. Continue with that external rotation in the front and pressing long through the back. Grasp behind the head. Retract the shoulders onto the back. Scoop up through the lower belly. Press the head back. Press the lower belly back. Keeping the arms engaged into and locked into the back body as they are. Reaching long. Softening into the front leg. On your next inhale, dropping the back hands, peeling that shoulder blade onto the back, pressing up to the ceiling, looking up toward your fingertips, lifting out of that left hip crease. On your next inhale, bringing yourself up to center and exhaling, your elbow down to your knee or down to the floor or using a block, whatever works best for you. Hand to the hip. Again, extending, lifting, scooping up and out through the upper palate, reaching up to the ceiling. And then on your next exhale, reaching alongside your head. On your next inhale, engaging through the feet, the pelvic floor, the belly, lifting up into Warrior Two again. Inhale, straighten the front leg, slide along the imaginary countertop, pressing through this back hip. Long line, finding your block or the floor, hand to the hip. And if and when you're ready, reaching up to the sky. Keep those shoulders out of your ears. Keep the shoulder blades behind the heart. Pressing the lower ribs into the kidneys in the back body. Lengthening through the upper palate, out through the crown of the head. On your next inhale, reaching your arm alongside your ear, aiming that bicep behind the ear, and finding whatever position is comfortable for your neck, whether that's looking down toward the floor, across the room, or opening up toward the ceiling. On your next exhale, cartwheel your hands down, soften that front knee, place your hands, and press back into down dog. Check in with your hands, four corners of the hands, that space between the forefinger and the thumb, fully engaged with the floor. Gently dragging the hands toward each other, scooping and engaging the front body, lengthening through the tail. And just feel how different this down dog feels. From here, exhale your knees down to the floor, either out to the edge of the mat with your great toes touching and letting
your belly hang between your thighs. Forehead rest on the floor, arms rest on the floor. If that's not comfortable, bring your knees together and drape your body over your thighs. And you can either keep your arms out in front of you or reaching down beside you. Stay here for a couple of minutes. Breathe in the truth that you are invited to come as simply and as honestly as you can. Jesus wants your weakness. He wants your strength. He accepts and offers grace to you. When you're wobbly, when you're stable, when you're able to keep your mind captive, and when it's running wild. I invite you to draw your attention back to your breath, back to that still, quiet place deep inside of you. And rest, fully absorbing the effort and the energy, the results of all of that effort and energy. Knowing that you are invited to come as simply and as honestly as you can.